Am I the a-hole for leaving my party for beating cancer? I, 35 male, am a very private person. I have no social media. Don't want my wife, 32 female, posting photos of me, although I don't tell her not to, just don't ask her to post me. Celebrating Father's Day or my birthday, I don't like attention on me and prefer to keep things low-key whenever I can. So, keeping that in mind, I was diagnosed with an extremely curable type of skin cancer. It was caught very early on and I never felt scared for my life in any way, shape, or form. I'm an engineer and I think analytically and wasn't scared with the diagnosis with a 0.03% fatality rate. Still, I told my wife of course, and she was terrified. We talked through it and told her my doctor was very optimistic and said we have caught it early on, etc. None of it seemed to help, but I tried. After a while, I told her that we shouldn't tell our kids, 5 female and 7 female. My wife wanted to tell them, but I was adamant about that. I'm not even sure they would understand what we're talking about. Reluctantly, she agreed not to. About a week later, I get a call from my dad, asking about my cancer. Turns out, my wife posted on FB about my cancer that morning. I called her and wasn't happy that she posted my business and his behind the "you didn't say I couldn't post it, just not to tell the kids" excuse. There is no way she would think I wanted that posted online, no matter what I said. So, she took it down and time went by. Very quickly, I was in remission with my skin cancer and my doctor told me, word for word, "We don't like to say you're cured, but you're cured." I told my wife and she was ecstatic. She told me she was worried all this time, I could tell, and glad we put this all behind us. I thought we could put this all behind us too. This weekend, I'm coming home on Friday. I see a lot of cars parked on the street, some in my driveway. I couldn't think of any birthdays or anniversaries I missed, but went in anyway. It was a party for my remission diagnosis. I was mortified at this. She's never done anything like this and we've talked about how I would hate a surprise party multiple times. I asked what this is for. Said, "I'm sorry, but I didn't know you planned this. I'm just coming back for some files and heading back to work." It was a lie. I gathered up some meaningless files in my office and said thanks to everyone for coming and left to go back to my office, messing around on my phone until everyone left. My wife knew I was lying and we fought that night and I told her I don't know what's gotten into her. But she knows I would never want this and she doesn't get to make a big deal out of something personal I never wanted to be public in the first place. We've been cold this whole week and my brother said I'm the a-hole since I told him I just pretended to go to work. So, am I the a-hole for not wanting to celebrate beating my cancer?
Not the a-hole. Your wife completely disregarded your feelings re personal privacy. She should take down the FB post immediately and apologize for ambushing you with the party.
In her defense, she did take down the FB post when I called her, without my asking her to take it down.
That's good, but she still sprung an unwanted party on you. She was genuinely scared for your health and wanted to celebrate her joy that you are now in remission, however dismissed your preference for personal privacy. You didn't yell or make a scene, just made an excuse to go back to work. Your wife feels embarrassed, but that's on her. Not the a-hole.
She was only genuinely scared because she didn't listen to her husband or his doctors. He was never in any danger.
Not the a-hole. Does your wife even know you? I find her behavior to be really odd and inappropriate. You should not have to command or request her not to post about you. It should come naturally to her to A, already know what you'd be okay and not okay with, and B, know to ask if she wants to communicate something about you. It's not giving me great vibes about your wife, to be honest. I cannot tell if she's overdramatic to the point of being a liability and totally irrational, or if she's a bit of an attention hound. Either way, her behavior is not okay, and having a serious talk with her about this is very reasonable. I would guess others find her behavior strange too. There must have been something a bit off for your parents in finding out about your cancer through social media. You need to be able to trust your spouse. In some ways, they should be like an extension of yourself, and that you should be able to trust that they won't do something they know you would not want. Missteps happen, of course, but this is her deciding she wants to handle your medical situation a different way than you want to handle it, which is obviously inappropriate of her.
It sounds like she wanted the attention for herself and not her husband.
Husband, I have a very treatable skin cancer. Wife, how could this happen to me?
Am I the a-hole for correcting my half-siblings when they say their dad is my dad too? My 16 female parents are divorced. I was 3 when their marriage ended. They share custody 50-50 of me still. For as long as I can remember, Mom has always blamed Dad for it and said he cheated. My dad never said anything. He refuses to badmouth Mom, but I know he really dislikes her. My grandma, Dad's mom, told me Mom was the one who cheated, and she's the one who even got pregnant with someone else's child and had an abortion to try and conceal it, that Dad had asked her directly and suddenly she was no longer pregnant. This was after me. I can't know the truth obviously, but I lean more in favor of my dad. The reason? My mom remarried when I was like 5, and she has tried so many times to push Dad out and get her new husband in. She has lied to the kids she has with her husband and told them he's our dad, and when I go for a week, it's to some uncle and I mistakenly think he's my dad. So I have half-siblings who'll refer to my mom's husband as our dad, and they'll step in to correct me when I call him by his first name. I usually end up correcting them, and around we go. I dislike my mom's husband. I think he really wants me to accept him and let him take over from Dad, but he never stops to listen when I say I love my dad, and it upsets me when they talk shit about him. He always tells me I should have him instead of Dad at Father's Day activities. This was worse when I was younger, and that stuff was more there. He'd always try to get me to go to father-daughter dances with them, including purity ones, and he'd get annoyed when I'd say no. He'd tell me he put so much work into me and I should return the effort. My dad tried to get custody from the judge at my request. We were in court literally weeks ago, but the judge said I need to continue 50-50 until I'm 18, and if either parent attempts to prevent that, then the other will get full custody of me. So I'm stuck here, and my half-siblings, the older they get, the more annoying they are about correcting me, and then I correct them too. I told them the other day that their dad isn't my dad, and I don't even like their dad or love their dad. My mom heard, and she told me I need to stop correcting them, and they just love me so much they want me to be their full sister, and I'm being a bully to them, correcting them all the time. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole. Your mom is engaging in some toxic gaslighting here by refusing to tell your half-siblings the truth and by trying to prevent you from having a normal relationship with your father. She and her husband need to knock this off. You have a father, and while Mom's husband has been helping raise you, you're under no obligation to see him as a replacement for the father you still have. I'm sorry that the courts didn't see it your way, but you've made it this far. Did any of this come up at the court hearing? Parental alienation is usually something judges strongly frown on.
If OP had mentioned any of this in the court, then her father should have gotten full custody. This is the kind of thing that courts look at very seriously and can make or break custody battles.
If in the US, there are lots of courts in this country that do not give custody to the preferred parent, there are lots of judges who even give children back to abusive parents. Courts are more frequently being denoted as not fair and just calling the shots as they wish instead of what is right or moral.
Not the a-hole. Keep correcting them until they stop bringing it up, even into adulthood. And that judge is the a-hole as well. You're old enough to decide where you want to live.
I don't think they'll be a part of my life then. A relationship with my mom is unlikely to continue once I'm old enough to go no contact. My state doesn't allow the kid to have that say influence.
Tell her that. Next time she says to stop correcting your step-siblings, look her in the eye and say, every time you try to force the issue, I remove another potential visit from after this bullshit custody situation is over. I cannot wait until I am free of the legal obligation to be in your presence.
Not the a-hole. Not even close to it. She told me I need to stop correcting them. Well, there's one super-duper easy way she can achieve that: tell her kids the truth. Because honestly, while your half-siblings can't help it, this'll make you resent them as well because they keep trying to correct you based on what they think is the truth.
DNA tests for Christmas, anyone?
Let's look at our birth certificates. Or use the relationship timeline of their parents to get them to notice OP comes before that.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.